What's up, guys? Pastor Rob here. And as usual, I have my son, Gage.
What's up?
And as usual, we're going to be reacting to a song requested by you guys in the comment section of our videos. Now, keep in mind, this is not an endorsement of the song or the genre as a whole, but an attempt to create discussion and encourage discernment while listening to music. For additional resources related to the channel, including merch, additional commentary, and bonus videos, please visit PastorRobReacts.com, as well as check out our Patreon where we have bonus material there as well. All the links will be down in the description. I almost forgot about the Patreon.
Oh, yeah.
Pretty excited about that. That's something new for us. So we're trying that out so we can get some additional content out there for you guys. So today we have a song by
Metallica.
And what is the name of the song?
Creeping Death.
Creeping Death, off of their album
Ride the Lightning.
Ride the Lightning. Now, I'm familiar with Metallica, of course. Who is not?
Yeah, definitely.
From what you told me you're familiar with the song.
Yes, I'm familiar with the song and the album. See, I have it on CD here. It was actually one of my first metal albums. So it'd be cool to revisit it. I haven't listened to it in maybe 2 years.
Well, that's exciting. I've never heard Ride the Lightning. Well, I may have heard a song or two from there.
You've heard Fade to Black.
Oh, well, I know Fade to Black for sure. Interestingly, you might find this interesting. My first metal album that I recall anyways was Metallica and Justice for All. I got it at the library. We took a school field trip to the library and they had it on vinyl and I was able to rent it.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Would you say that was around the time it came out?
I don't know. It was still on vinyl, so I'm assuming it was a long time ago.
That's cool.
That's how I remember it anyways. Maybe it was a tape, but I'm pretty sure it was a record because I remember it being all poppy and scratchy. And it was really fast. I remember that. So,
Yeah.
And of course, I know Fade to Black. So if it's anything like that, there's a good chance I'm going to like the song. It's been highly requested. A lot of people have requested it. I'm excited to figure out why. So you ready to jump into the song?
Yep.
All right.
Let's go.
Do it. Pretty dramatic intro.
Yeah, one of my favorites.
Panic. There's a little bit of reverb over here. Ooh, drums.
Oh, yeah, that's good.
I like that. Goosebumps, actually. love that old school, well, I mean, it is old school. I love that sound that brings me back to that record. You know? Oh, yes. solo action. Man. You're getting it.
Yeah, good damn it, man.
Wow. Man. Do they still do that in today's music?
Not really.
Yes. Changed.
Yeah.
Like how that's.
Yeah, that was cool.
Destroyer. Yes. That's cool.
Yeah, the backing vocals. I never noticed that. Love the harmonization there. That's pretty cool. It's funny because I don't remember many of these elements.
That was a big ending.
Yeah, that was good.
Wow. What a really cool and dramatic song.
Yeah.
You obviously, I mean, revisiting it, how did it sound to you?
It sounded a little different. There was seeing as how this was one of the first songs to get me into metal. It sounds a lot different now because I've expanded my taste a lot since then. I've listened to a lot more newer songs, so it's easier for me to tell how much older it sounds, if that makes any sense.
I see what you mean.
Like some of the mixing techniques, like the solo, the guitar solo sounded kind of low in the mix, and I feel like now it'd probably be a lot higher.
And then you picked up on the harmonization. What do you call it? Harmonizations that you probably didn't pick up on before because you didn't know that stuff yet. Right?
There was also a couple bass parts I didn't notice, and the vocals too. Like some of the reverb that they had on that. Yeah,
I like the way the vocals were mixed. I love the way they did that. They had the chanting behind the chorus, and then at one point they had the lower octave behind the chorus.
Yeah, I never noticed those.
Yeah, definitely a great song. It's cool because it was like a it was like the theme song for the Destroyer in Exodus.
Yeah.
the Passover story is kind of the perspective they're telling it from. He got a few of the details wrong in there, but he got some right too, which I thought was pretty cool. Now, do you remember the Passover stuff?
Not clearly.
Well, to give you a little bit of background, the Israelites were slaves in Egypt for 430 years. And God told Moses to go to Pharaoh and to tell him to let my people go.
Yeah.
Right? So everybody's heard that. Let my people go. They've seen the movies and so on. But of course, Pharaoh refused and God sent plagues, right? He sent 10 of them. The worst of the plagues being the death of all of the firstborn. So, but what God did when God instituted this, he also gave them the Passover. And he said basically to kill a lamb and to put the blood on the doorpost and the lintel, which is like the sides and the top, basically around your door, paint around your door with the blood of a spotless lamb. And he gave all really detailed instructions that we won't go into here. But by doing so, the destroyer, as he mentioned in here, would pass over that house and not kill those children.
Oh, okay.
Now, of course, God kept his promise. And on the night when the destroyer came, he passed over the door of the Israelites. He passed over the Israelites. Their children survived. But unfortunately, Pharaoh didn't listen. And the Egyptians did not listen. And they did not survive. So God kept his promise that he would pass over. And that night he passed over the Israelites. And the Egyptians who did not listen obviously lost their firstborn. And the Bible says that there was a loud wailing in Egypt, for there was not a house without someone dead.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. Now, this judgment of God changed Pharaoh's heart. Now, again, remember there was 10 of them total, so he had basically 9 warnings here, and it took this 10th one to change his mind a little bit. I don't know what else God could have done. Like legit, Moses goes to him. If you read the story, Moses goes to him like, "Hey, let my people go." He does a miracle, and he promises a plague if he doesn't. Pharaoh's like, "Nah, I'm good," and he gets some magicians to mimic the miracles some way or the other. And God remains patient and increases the magnitude or the severity of these plagues. And of course, the last one being the most devastating. So how many children actually had to die?
None of them.
None of them. Because God warned them. If
Pharaoh listened.
Yes.
Yeah.
God would have passed over. Not only, he could have listened at the first warning and let them go, and the second, third,
all
fourth,
the
fifth.
plagues would have been avoided.
Everything would have been avoided,
Yeah.
but his heart was hardened, and he did not. And it was on this 10th plague that he was told what would happen and still didn't listen. Was that unfair? Was that harsh?
Well, not if he didn't listen, I suppose.
I imagine that a lot of people that hear the song, that might be their objection. I don't know. I'm just assuming. I have no idea. I don't actually. I think it's a really good song from a biblical perspective, as long as you're looking at it the right way. So I'm assuming a lot of them are looking at it like, see, God kills everybody, and He's so mean and evil. But let's look back into time a little bit here. Okay. Now, again, I'm working off an assumption. Maybe a lot of people don't feel that way, but again, working off of that assumption. Pharaoh himself already did not like the Israelites. First of all, he enslaved them for 430 years, which he mentioned 400 years in the song.
Oh, yeah.
But 430 years, he wasn't, well, not the same Pharaoh, obviously, but they were enslaved in Egypt for 430 years.
Yeah.
But Pharaoh didn't like the Israelites so much so that he went to the midwives, the Hebrew midwives, and said, "Hey, anytime a boy is born, kill it."
How come? So they wouldn't be able to
because he didn't want to reproduce. He said, "Keep the girls, but kill the boys." He didn't want to be overrun with the Hebrew men, I guess.
Okay.
And so, but thankfully, the midwives didn't listen, and this is one part of the story of Moses that people remember is that one of the midwives didn't listen, kept Moses to herself, raised him for a couple months, and when she couldn't keep him and hide him anymore, she placed him in a basket in the river.
Oh, yeah.
To be found by Pharaoh's daughter. Right, the very same guy that would have had him killed. So he gets saved through all of this, even though Pharaoh's intention was to kill him and every boy that was born.
Yeah.
I don't know how many actually got killed because the Bible doesn't mention that. But again, that was his intention, was to murder. What we can see here is that Pharaoh was an abuser of human rights and a murderer, right?
Yeah.
So again, God's saying, hey, let my people go. Let my people go. Warning of a plague. Okay, let my people go with a warning of a plague.
Yep.
And still remains graceful. So even despite Pharaoh being who he was, God was gracious, and he was most interested in passing over the sin. He gave them a way out each time. Do this and you'll be okay.
Yeah.
And even in the end, when he executed that judgment, I'm sending the destroyer in. Your firstborns will die.
Yep.
Here's what you do to avoid that. So God, still being gracious, it was the hard hearts of the people. That was the problem.
Yeah.
So again, it's easy to hear a song like this. It makes God's evil. He sent this destroyer to kill everybody. And again, we fall back on this whole thing as if the people are innocent.
Yeah.
Right? We fall back on the idea that people are innocent, that they don't deserve these things, that they're basically good, poor Pharaoh, poor Egyptians, mean God. But we saw that when he sent the 9 plagues that he pleaded. And even in the midst of the judgment, there was grace. Even when Pharaoh abused God's grace over and over and over, God still showed him grace, warned him 10 times, right? Now, the Bible, and this is one of the things a lot of people don't get, the Bible is filled with people like this.
Yeah.
People that abuse God's grace, that ignore it, and God keeps extending it, keeps extending it. We can go all the way back to Adam and Eve.
Yeah.
Right? He could have executed judgment right there. He could have said, you're done, toast. Instead, he said, all right, here's the deal. I'll cover you with skins, kick you out of the garden. There's some punishment involved in this, but I'm gonna promise you a redeemer, or one that will come undo this wrong that you did.
There was grace.
There was grace, always grace. So God was gracious from the very beginning. This historical event is typological of Jesus. We see a lot of parallels in here from Jesus. Now, and I'll put a link down in the description to some deeper study, but one of the main things that we want to get from this is that Jesus is our Passover lamb. 1 Corinthians 5:7 says, cleanse out the old leaven, that you may be a new lump, as you really are unleavened. And that's a reference back to Passover as well. For Christ, our Passover lamb, has been sacrificed. Christ, our Passover lamb. Now, the song focused on this destroyer. And again, I'm not sure of the motive here, but he focuses a lot more on the death than he does on God's grace, because he's not seeing that. Again, 430 years, 10 warnings before the destroyer came, and they were given a way out. God warned them of his coming judgment. And God has warned us of our coming judgment. Ever since the fall of Adam,
Yeah.
the soul that sins will die. And he's given us a way out of his judgment, which is the Passover lamb, Jesus Christ. Paint his blood on your soul.
Good analogy.
Yeah, and God's judgment will pass over you. This was, again, and there's like, I don't know, a dozen or so parallels in that Passover story that link to Jesus.
Oh.
This is, I mean, there are some very specific details
Yeah.
in there. Absolutely.
That's cool.
It'll blow your mind, but there's no way I can get into it in this short video here. So again, I'll have some links down in the description. I hope you're not like Pharaoh. I hope you don't harden your heart and not hear God's warning and offer of grace. Because we look at Pharaoh and we can go, what was he thinking? Why in the world did he not accept that first one? I mean, he let them go anyways.
Yeah.
So why not just let it go? Especially when it comes down to saying, hey, you're going to lose every firstborn. At that moment, he should have listened.
Yeah.
And God delivered on his promise. And God's told us that his judgment will come, and he's going to deliver on that promise, but he's also offered us Jesus Christ, the spotless Lamb of God, to take away the sins of the world, to be our Passover, what we read in 1 Corinthians 5:7. Believe on him. That's it. Imagine the night. Everybody, now they had to go through this whole process with this Passover lamb. But imagine that night. There were people cowering in their bedrooms with their children, embracing them. I'm assuming, I'm reading into it here, but I'm just painting a picture, because I'm sure there were people like, yep, God said so, I'm good.
Yep.
And then there are also people going, oh my, I don't even know. I'm afraid. I'm terrified. I'm going to go ahead and do it. And it had to be a disgusting mess of blood on these doors.
Yeah.
And they sat there. They probably stayed awake the whole night cowering.
Yeah.
But God still passed over.
Mm-hmm.
And despite where you're at in your faith, whether you're cowering, afraid, not sure, as long as you're trusting in Christ, he will pass over. Because that's his promise to us, as long as we believe in Jesus. Pretty cool?
Yep. Yeah.
I don't know. That was cool.
Yeah, that was.
I'm really, that was really cool.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's interesting to hear a secular song. Again, it missed some of the nuances were off a little bit, but to really capture I mean, I could imagine the destroyer if it were a person, kind of like a wrestler walking into the wrestling ring and that song's playing, he's like, I'm creeping death. Or however it went. Yeah. Well, that wraps up another video for us. I hope you enjoyed yourselves. I hope you learned something. If you have any questions for us, please don't hesitate to message us and follow us on all of our social media. It's all down in the description, or on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. I've actually been really active on Twitter. I've had the account forever.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and I just started learning how to use it. So I'm
That's cool.
Yeah, I'm just pushing stuff out there. So if you're into Twitter, follow me on Twitter. All the links down in the description. Again, check out our Patreon page, and we'll see you on the next video.
Peace.
Peace.